Republican lawmakers say they aren't ready yet to reach a deal on Montana's budget problems, pushing back against claims from Governor Steve Bullock's administration that an agreement was close at hand. Bullock's office said last week the administration was nearing a deal with GOP leaders to plug a $227 million hole in the budget. However, Republican House Speaker Austin Knudsen told reporters Friday that Bullock's office was, quote, grossly overstating, end quote, the party's interest in a proposed compromise that includes temporary tax increases. Republicans argue the Democratic governor can address the shortfall under state law that allows him to cut up to 10% of general fund spending. Democrats counter that Republicans accepted an unrealistic budget picture in March to avoid cuts or tax increases. And a couple of related stories here. An offer from a private prison in Shelby is now front and center in Montana's ongoing budget difficulties. The prison, which is run by CoreCivic, has been putting money into escrow on a daily basis so the state could use the money as a down payment to possibly take ownership of the prison in 2019. So far, nearly $30 million has been saved, and CoreCivic is offering the money to the state now for a 10-year extension of their contract. Republican legislators like Lou Jones of Conrad think Montana should jump on the offer.
The prison appears to be doing a very, very good job. It seems well recognized for what it's doing. It's one of the most affordable in the state. So we looked out there and thought, well, that there's an extreme likelihood it'll be renewed for some period of time anyway. We felt that this $30 million was a great way to offset potentially cuts in other areas, potentially cuts to schools.
However, Governor Bullock has the ultimate decision on the issue, and he sees the situation differently, according to Jones.
The executive is exactly the opposite position. They feel that this should not be part of this time frame, that this negotiation needs to occur later on, that it may not fit into the overall prison vision, and a number of reasons. But their preference is not to recognize this $30 million in this current budget crisis.
Montana's Superintendent of Public Instruction is weighing in. Elsie Arntzen is urging the governor and the legislature to borrow from the state's coal tax trust fund to solve the $227 million budget shortfall. Arntzen said a large payment to the public schools is due at the end of this month.
$125.4 million. When you look at what is available within our treasury of $13.7 billion, I say that again, $13.7 billion is what we have that is available. It's available.
Arntzen said the coal tax trust fund has been tapped before, and it should be again for this budget crisis.
Coal trust fund, we have done some marvelous things by being the treasure state, and that money is put away for the future, for Montana. We should be able to balance the budget, keep it balanced, and not put fear into our taxpayers to say that more taxes are needed, because the money is there. It's just a matter of a transfer, and it's a temporary transfer.
The governor and the legislature are working to find a solution to the over $227 million shortfall, which would probably include a special session. Hundreds of people, including political leaders from both parties, attended the memorial service for Montana's first female governor over the weekend. Judy Martz died October 30th at the age of 74 after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. The memorial service for the Republican governor who served from 2001 to 2005 was held Saturday at the Butte Civic Center. The Montana Standard reports that among those attending the service, Democratic Governor Steve Bullock, former Governor Mark Roscoe, State Attorney General Tim Fox, and Congressman Greg Gianforte. Shane Hedges, who served as Martz's top policy advisor for a time, eulogized Martz as a driven, competitive woman who always found time to help and care for others. On Thursday, Missoula police were called out to a disturbance at an apartment on Great Northern Avenue in Missoula. Police spokesman Travis Welch says officers encountered an individual in a car outside.
It was identified as a 35-year-old male who did have minor injuries and was pretty emotional and described an incident with his male partner that had occurred inside their apartment located on the property. He claimed that the other male had physically assaulted him, including an allegation of strangulation.
The man gave police access to the apartment, but the suspect, 38-year-old Zachary Hoke, refused to come out and made attempts to barricade himself in the bathroom.
The officers soon developed some concern not only for Mr. Hoke's safety, but also to what he may have been doing in the bathroom. They were able to crack the door a little bit enough to see that he was standing in the shower with an electric cord wrapped around his neck. At that point, they feared for his safety and forced entry all the way into the bathroom.
The incident was Hoke's first partner or family member assault charge, but because strangulation might have been involved, he was charged with a felony. A 37-year-old Billings man died and 4 people were injured in a head-on crash in central Montana on an icy, snow-covered road. The Highway Patrol said the crash occurred about 7 o'clock Saturday night, about 8 miles south of Townsend. The patrol said the Billings man was driving north on Highway 287 when he lost control of his 2010 Toyota Tundra and struck a 2017 Ford F-350 in the southbound lane. The Billings man was pronounced dead at the scene. The Independent Record reports a 43-year-old Bozeman woman, a 40-year-old Bozeman woman, a 12-year-old girl, and a 9-year-old boy were all injured in the crash. Names of the victims have not yet been released. In December of 2014, Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Wade Palmer and Cadet Tim Templeton responded to a vehicle crash with black ice on I-90 near Frenchtown. Palmer relived part of that crash on Friday's Talkback show, relating how a woman had been thrown across the highway into the median after her vehicle was struck by an out-of-control semi.
I run across the median. I immediately begin rendering aid on her. I didn't want her to move because I did not want her to injure herself more. She's in the median, which is off the roadway. She's in the grassy portion of the median. So we're in a spot where I think I would risk more injury to her by trying to move her across the highway to the shoulder. So my immediate plan was to obviously just render what aid that I'm trained and capable of rendering to her.
Palmer said Templeton warned him that another out-of-control truck was bearing down on him and the female victim with just seconds to respond.
He alerted me to a car that had entered the median, and I actually looked up and saw the truck coming towards us. It had lost control around the curve, and it was coming into the median right to where me and the mother were at. So at that point, if he had not said anything, I don't think I'd be here today. So I owe him a life debt. All I remember is I just grabbed onto the mother as hard as I could, and I just jumped backwards with her. The tire marks from the vehicle actually went over where it would have ran right over us.
Miraculously, no one was killed, but there were severe injuries to several individuals, including a career-ending injury to a sheriff's deputy. Palmer urges all drivers, especially in roads like this, to slow down and move to the opposite lane when coming upon a vehicle stopped by authorities. Our News Talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy skies today with scattered snow showers early. Otherwise cold with our high temperatures in the mid to upper 20s. Winds will be out of the east at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, overnight lows in the single digits. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.